The Drive-Thru is our monthly news episode and is sponsored in part by organizations like HPDEJunkie.com, CollectorCarGuide.net, Project Motoring, Garage Style Magazine, the Exotic Car Marketplace, and many others. If you are interested in becoming a sponsor of the Drive-Thru, look no further than www.motoringpodcast.net. Click About and then Advertising. Thank you again to everyone that supports the Motoring Podcast Network, Grand Touring Motorsports, our podcast Break Fix, and all the other services we provide.
T-minus 3 hours until outro.
Are we ready?
Yeah.
Welcome to the jungle. Okay. Welcome to Drive-Thru episode number 48. This is our monthly recap where we've put together a menu of automotive, motorsport, and car adjacent news. No Shua peepees in this episode. Now, let's pull up to window number 1 for some automotive news. What do we got, Eric?
Number 48. Are you ready for this?
Oh.
I'm as ready as I always am. I opted to work on the car rather than prepare for the drive-thru. I think it's going to turn out well.
Tanya subscribed to the same idea because she's as prepared as you are.
Amen, Tanya. Amen to that. I praise you for your dedication to working on your car.
I usually at least open it.
She didn't even get that far. She's literally goes, "Where's the link? I can't find it." But here's the thing, right? The saying holds true. You're never more prepared than when you're not.
It's true.
It'll be our best episode yet.
I like to fly by the seat of my pants.
100%.
At least I'm wearing pants this time.
You've been known to do the Ron Burgundy thing.
Yeah. The Ron Burgundy or the Rambo Commando.
Didn't Dan Rather not wear pants when he was at his desk?
No, I think that was the Williams guy for NBC who was cheating on his wife, and his daughter's an actress.
Who?
What was his name?
I want to say Ted, but that's a singer, isn't it?
That's Ted Bundy.
Not Al Bundy.
4 touchdowns in a single game for Polk High.
Well, we've got some rich people things because it is Car Week month. Car Week continues to get longer. There's this whole I'm Spartacus situation going on with Car Week. You know, who's the first event? Even last year when I was there, it was like, we're the first of the first. And then you hear and then I know I'm the first event of Car Week. And Car Week's like 15 days long now. It's absolutely insane. We weren't able to be there in person this year. Mad shout out to Ryan Barkey and Danny P, formerly of the steering committee and Danny P on Cars, now part of the Roadshow podcast, for sending us updates on things that were going on during Car Week. Hopefully we'll get there next year. But rather than recap every sordid detail, we put together a special edition of our magazine. So issue number 30 was released during Car Week. And what we did is we tied together everything related to Car Week from years past that we had covered all of last year, and then guests that we sat down with after the fact. And so we're going to continue to dogpile onto that. So check out issue 30 on our website. But really what everybody wants to talk about is the cars that sold at Car Week. Did you guys take a look at the homework that Jalopnik did for us?
I love it when people do my work for me.
Yeah, they gave a cheat where you can click and look at all the slides without actually looking at the pictures of the cars, which is pretty cool.
Ooh, fantastic.
They have them in order by price. If we do this Letterman style, we can work backwards from lowest to highest.
I love it. Let's do, yeah, they went in the reverse of what we're going to do. Okay, so we're going to do the Monterey Car Week top 16 cars sold at auction.
You notice that there's 2 numbers here? It's 2 and then 15 and then 3 and then 14 and...
They numbered 1 as the heading of the thing.
Because it's the first slide.
Exactly. I don't know the confusion here.
Whoever put together this PowerPoint presentation does not know what they're doing.
Have you read anything on Jalopnik? I mean, come on.
Between the typos, some of them Oxford comma, some of them no Oxford comma, some of them no punctuation at all.
It's amazing they can put a listicle together. This is brilliant. All right. Short-circuiting this whole process.
Coming in at number 15, we've got the 2021 Bugatti Chiron.
Chiron. It's the
Chiron. Chiron. Sports Noir. Somebody else say this. I can't say this stupid name.
What it basically boils down to is a flat black Bugatti Chiron, and it looks like the Batmobile, and it is awesome. And it sold for a whopping $3.36 million.
Is that cheaper than the car was when it was purchased from Bugatti? because I thought those cars were more than 4 or 5. I know the previous Bugatti Veyron was like 2 plus,
Yeah.
and then they had all the special editions. I got to imagine this guy the owner, guy or girl, whoever it was, probably took a bath when this car sold.
That's what I'm thinking too. That's really cheap for a Bugatti. I mean, 3.36 million is not anything to sneeze at, but it's also not a lot of money for that type of hypercar. But boy, does it look good. I mean, Bruce Wayne's probably got 6 or 7 of these.
Yep.
Coming in at number 14, some of these are not going to be any shock as we get kind of further down the list here. 66 Ferrari 275 GTB 6C alloy, $3.481 million.
So can somebody translate the name of this car for me?
Yes, William Ross could do that. I don't understand what any of it means either.
Spec with alloy coachwork, whatever that means. But the Ferrari 275s and the 250 GTO, I mean, those cars are sky high anyway. So this is not a surprise.
But as a Ferrari, let's say 2 Series, 250, 275.
This is on the bottom end of that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because there's some of these that sell not just in the 7 digits like this one did, but then for 8 digits.
Yeah.
So this is the cheap bargain basement Ferrari if you're looking for a 2 Series or 200 Series car.
Yep.
Next up, another Bugatti Chiron SS or Super Sport, 3.497 million. I can't tell the difference between the other one other than
The paint.
it looks the same and it's a different color. It's gray.
The other one didn't have I'll call it ground effects package, but the aero.
Is it just me or does it make it look like a Supra?
It does look like a very fat Supra. I will,
Right?
I will give it that, yes.
Especially with those wheels. They're very JDM. It doesn't look right.
And here's our first poll question for Eric and Tanya. Would you rather have this or a Supra?
I don't want anything.
You know, I've been seeing a lot more Supras on the road lately.
I don't see very many at all.
I saw one in yellow. I don't like it in yellow.
I see more Rivians than I do Supras.
I think the Bugatti would look good in yellow, though.
I've seen one in yellow. If anybody who's ever been up and down Rodeo Drive, the owners of one of the fashion shops there owns a bright yellow and black Bugatti Veyron.
That's pretty hot.
Next on the list.
This is some pretty dry stuff. I hope the listeners are enjoying.
Well, we're going to fast forward here. 34 Duesenberg, 3.7 million. 34 Alfa Romeo 8C, 4 million. And then we start to get into some cool stuff that we're interested in as racers. Coming in at number 10, 76 Porsche 935.
Yes.
That's all you have to say. In a Martini and Rossi livery, $5 million. Would you spend $5 million on this?
I don't know. It's pretty tough because the Cybertruck could pull one of these and beat this at the same time going through the quarter mile. Allegedly.
The next one at $5 million, if you're going to put another race car in your collection.
Oh, the 333.
333 SP. This thing is awesome.
It is. Is this the car that Tanya used to whip everybody's butt in Forza?
No, that was the Eagle Talon.
Oh, excuse me. That was her B class car, but wasn't this her like P class car?
Might have been, yeah. I love these.
Yeah.
Before the current 499X, these were the last Ferraris in LMP1 at Le Mans, that kind of stuff, right? So these are really iconic. They're really, really cool.
Given that, I'm surprised it sold for so cheap.
And you got to watch the video of this car because the sound is unreal. And then what kills you is the guys that have these and then they put like a Judd V10 in it. And it's like, really? I mean, yeah, the Judd V10 sounds great too, but it's not a Ferrari 12. I mean, come on.
No, that's just a waste of space. They couldn't afford to put the Ferrari motor back in it. That's why.
So the next like 10 cars, Ferrari, Alfa Romeo, and then Ferrari. But we'll talk about the top 3 in a second. So everything up until the top 3 cars is like $5 million and under. They kind of creep up 5.1, 5.2, 5.3, 5.3, and so on. There's a Ferrari F50 on here.
I was just about to say one of my favorite cars, the Ferrari F50, the car that Eric hates.
So awful. But apparently, not only is it on this list as a top seller during Car Week, it's also the currently most expensive F50 to ever sell at auction at $5.5 million.
Did it used to belong to Cher?
No, that was a 246 Dino.
Oh, my bad.
So breaking some records there for F50s. Love it or hate it, that's good news for F50 owners. I would buy the Chiron instead. It's a much better car, but that's just me.
No contest. I would buy the F50.
Next up in fourth place, 59 Ferrari 250 GTB long wheelbase California Spider, not to be confused with the Ferris Bueller car, because as soon as somebody hears California Spider, they think Ferris Bueller's Day Off. This is the long wheelbase car. You know, it's hard to tell the difference. William could probably do a whole episode on the difference between the short and the long wheelbase cars, but if you look at it long enough, you can tell it is longer. It seems proportionally wrong than what you're used to seeing. No surprise, maybe not as sought after at $5.6 million as some of the other Ferrari 250 Californias that are out there. But rounding out the top three, drum roll. Number three, 1955 Ferrari 410 Sports Spider at $12.985 million.
That's a big jump in price.
So yeah, from 5 million to 12. I actually think this car is kind of ugly.
I mean, I don't think it's ugly, but I think it looks like any other race car from that era.
Compared to the 250 Testarossa, though,
Well, yes, of course.
it's like, I don't know. I don't like it. I think it's kind of ugly. It feels like a precursor to that design, although they were all, to your point, very similar during the Mila Amelia period there.
Yeah.
When they developed these. $13 million, though, not so much. So next, number two, 1938 Alfa Romeo 8C 2900B Lungo Spider. It's a very long name for a very sexy car that looks like a BMW.
Yeah.
Stunning in black, though. My God, that is a gorgeous car. I mean, that's Pebble Beach worthy right there.
I'm just not that big of a fan looks wise of.
That pre-war period.
Yeah, give me the next car. That's my wheelhouse right there.
So this Alpha sold at $14 million. That's with an M. And then to your point, last but certainly not least, this is Ferris Bueller's Ferrari California Spider. $17 million for a 1960 Ferrari 250 GT short wheelbase California Spider in the most gorgeous gray that I have ever seen.
Yes.
Delicious.
Yes, I concur.
Oh, man. I mean, I could just stare at that all day.
Have you taken a snapshot of just looking at the list, just the list? It's 11 Italian cars. They sprinkle in a little French fry,
Mm-hmm. And that random Duesenberg.
then some schnitzel.
At any rate, Car Week, it's so exciting. It's so chaotic. We were in touch with so many people, even though we weren't able to be there. There's a lot more follow-up on Garage Style. There's a lot more articles that are coming. Don did a good job putting together a Car Week guide. But one of the things I thought was interesting as he's rolling out coverage of Car Week, he's looking for the stories that are a little bit more exclusive that people maybe weren't able to get to. And one of them in particular is these videos of the setup for a special invite only private Maybach event and how they like bring the cars in using a crane.
Wow, that Maybach's pretty sweet looking.
Yeah, that SUV is killer too. At first I was like, is that like a Brabus? Like, what is that? And then, nope, that's a Maybach SUV.
Ooh, that red one with like
Yeah.
the equivalent of the Louis Vuitton scheme one. That's pretty sweet.
Very, very cool. So he told me there's more stuff like that coming in the next couple of weeks as he's got people sending him stuff behind the scenes at Car Week and whatnot. So stay tuned for more stuff like that.
So just a way for rich people to out rich people, other rich people.
Oh, so you've been to Car Week? Yeah.
By the way, shout out to Mercedes and Tanya. I saw it wasn't an AMG GT. It was the precursor to that. I guess the SLS. There was a really pretty bright red one in my neighborhood a couple weeks ago.
Can't go wrong with a Mercedes coupe.
No, you cannot.
Last year when we were at Car Week at Pebble Beach, just before the concours kind of opens up and the judging starts and all that kind of stuff, there is a showcase as you go down towards the beach, and they have highlights for new cars. So in years past, you got to see things like the DeLorean Reimagined. We got to see the ID Buzz and some other things, the new Mustang. They were kind of revealed at Car Week at Pebble Beach. Well, BMW decided to do a reveal this year, and it wasn't what we expected. And I got super excited about yet another station wagon returning to the roster that had been shrinking for the last 5 years. Can you believe BMW is going to put out an M5 Touring in the United States?
That's amazing. I don't believe it. I mean, I'm in shock.
Do you think it's because Audi's done so well with the RS6 Avant?
I guarantee you that's exactly why.
So get this, staggering 717 horsepower in a station wagon. First I say, is that necessary? And then I say, is that really enough?
Well, it depends on what you're hauling. How many bags of mulch are in the back of your estate?
I mean, have you seen this thing?
By the way, I'm not typically a fan of green cars, but I think this green is pretty slick.
It is cool looking. The wheels are interesting. Everything's interesting about it. Now, granted, the grills are still kind of wrong, but it is very cool. It's very different. But I love station wagons. There's something about the long roof. It just brings it all together. Especially BMW station wagons have never looked bad. Going way, way back, they've always looked really sort of elegant in a way, but also aggressive at the same time without being overly, let's say, AMG and, the way the RS6 Avant is, where it's like they forcibly made it look aggressive and wide. Like the BMWs have always had that sort of like mean but subtle at the same time sort of thing going. I don't even know how to explain it. They're just really cool.
I believe, Eric, we need to put this disclaimer out there. The estate cars, not the weird GT kind of hatchback, liftback things that they came out with. I think it introduced with the 5 Series. Not those. We're talking about true, legitimate wagons and estate cars.
BMW, in its own infinite wisdom, we've talked about this before. They're always making the right moves. We won't even talk about what it's going to cost because we already know it's going to be a 6-digit car. It's an M car. It's a 5 Series. It's a station wagon. They're going to purposefully make it competitive with the RS6, which we know is a $100,000+ car. But here's the business logic that I don't understand. BMW might bring an M3 Touring to the US if we buy enough M5 Tourings. Does that make sense?
I'm trying to do rich people math in my head to try and figure this out.
Let me put it in perspective for you. We didn't talk about how much the M5 station wagon is going to cost. Venture a guess as to how much the M3 station wagon will be?
80, 85?
110.
Oh, so close, but not quite. $120,000 suggested MSRP on the M3 station wagon.
Wait. What was that word you threw out there? Adjusted MSRP? What are we adjusting for?
Alleged MSRP.
Alleged. Oh, I thought you said adjusted. Alleged MSRP. So basically what they're saying is they don't really have any clue.
But if you look at the picture of this supposed M3 Touring, ooh, this looks even better. And I don't mind the big owl beaver buck teeth grills on this thing because for whatever reason, it actually looks good in this configuration.
I will say that the more I see cars with these grills, the more I like them. And I actually try to tell myself all the time, I'm not going to buy a BMW. I'm not going to buy a BMW. But the M4s with these grills, I'm like, I could rock with that.
In the right color.
And then it's got to be in the right color. This and this blue, it's kind of the right color.
Yeah, it looks really good. And again, long roof, M3. Can you really go wrong with this equation?
What is the difference between the M?
Well, the difference between the M3 and the M5 back in the day was what, 3 inches of legroom in the back?
Yeah, so that means the M5 is going to be 150, 160 plus.
Exactly.
So this is the Turbo 6, though. The M5 has a V8 performance hybrid.
So BMW making a splash during Car Week with their station wagon of all things. I think that's a bold move. Really curious to see where it goes in the future. So it would be cool to go down the road and get totally blasted by one of these station wagons with 700 horsepower or whatever. So I think that's really, really cool.
As much as I see the RS6 all over the interwebs, I have yet to see one in person just rolling down the road. Like I've seen one at NGP and various, places like that. I don't think I've ever seen one on the road.
Hardly ever. I think I took a picture of one and posted it on Discord once because it had some really cool aftermarket wheels. And that's the last time I've seen one. And that was like a year ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, every once in a while they pop up. But for the people fortunate enough to have those kinds of cars, I'm jealous, man. You've got my attention. I love that kind of stuff. Hot rod station wagon. Hell yeah.
I'll stick to my hatchbacks for now because that's what I can afford.
Like I said, even though we didn't get to go to Car Week this year, we are looking forward to next year. We have some plans in the works and hopefully a couple special surprises and some honors in there as well. So we're not going to give any spoilers yet, but making plans, and we're looking forward to next year, even though it's a year away. Some of these big events, whether it's this or the Florida Man Games or Le Mans Classic or whatever it is, you got to start planning early. Well, as a quick aside, there's a couple other things that happened since the last time we got together for the drive-thru. So remember we were talking about rocks and revs and all that kind of stuff. So we went out to Cleveland and hooked up with William Big Money Ross, who a lot of our listeners are familiar with from the What Should I Buy series and the Ferrari Marketplace on the Motoring Podcast Network. I got a special surprise when I got out there. So, get together with William, got to set up for the event, this and that. And he goes, hey, Pittsburgh Vintage Grand Prix, you want to go? I mean, yeah. Okay, so what's the plan? I'll see you at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. And so we headed down to good old Pit Race, took a bunch of videos, talked to people in the paddock, walk around, meet some of the drivers, and 6 different classes of cars ranging from sub 2000 cc's to what they call the ground pounders to late models and trucks. I mean, you name it, all sorts of really cool stuff. Super happy to see a bunch of 914s because, that's a soft spot for me racing at the track. I took a bunch of videos. I put together like a compilation summary video for anybody who wants to see what the Vintage Grand Prix was like. This was the beginning of sort of the Pittsburgh Car Week in a sense. That's why it's loosely related to our Car Week showcase. They did this whole like 7+ day thing where it started at Pit Race and then it ended at Shenley Park for another Vintage Grand Prix through the streets of Pittsburgh. Similar cars, not all the same ones that were running at the VRG SCCA event that they had going on at Pit Race, but they have this whole festival and it sort of moves throughout the area of Pittsburgh, and I thought that was really, really cool. I've been talking for a long time about getting into vintage racing and buying a vintage race car, and it's sort of been not a bucket list thing, but it's a tire I've been kicking for a while. But going to one of these events, talking with the drivers, getting a better understanding of how the classing works and the rules and the different series that they can run in with some of these older cars, it was a pretty eye-opening experience and not nearly as cost prohibitive as I thought it would be compared to, some of the stuff that's going on today, like in SCCA. I got to do a little bit more homework, but I'm really excited to get a little bit more involved in the vintage racing world. So it's a cool place to go if you're into those types of cars.
How long until Spec Miata becomes Vintage Miata?
Last year.
Well, I'm late. It's already happened.
Yeah. VRG started a campaign, and we actually talked to some of the drivers about that, how they felt about early Miatas showing up. And they're like, look, they're over 30 years old now. So, it makes you feel super old that the Miata's that old, but on the same token, they're by definition of the rules of vintage racing, they're vintage. You don't see too many of them. There were a couple running around. They're under 2000 cc. So they run them with those cars. They got to do some balance or performance. They got to make the rules work, but they're making space for especially 1.6 liter Miatas. They're giving them a home to go race at because they're not competitive in SCCA anymore, not unless they're cheating.
Yeah.
I think it's good, but I think you're going to start to see a lot of other cars out there running and mixing it up. I was shocked. There was a Mark 1 GTI that came flying out of the pits and I was like, whoa, pump the brakes. What? And there was other stuff like that where you're like, I guess that is vintage now. Okay. It's not just Austin Healey's and MGs and stuff like that.
No. Yeah. Well, things that we think are vintage are things that our parents were like, oh, those are still cool. Those are things that people. So we're all technically vintage racers.
I think we're vintage ourselves at this point.
Yeah, that's it. We're vintage, racers.
By the internet youth standard, we are vintage. We might be antique.
Oh my God. Yeah, we should be dead by now.
Yeah. Right. Hey, in the old days, you weren't expected to live till 40. You know what I mean?
Yep, I know. Thank God we made it past that. Okay, what's next?
All right. So Rocks and Revs, it was the inaugural automotive festival there in Cleveland in partnership with Summerfest there in Fairview Park. Really interesting setup. The venue itself, I mean, it was like an ocean of asphalt. You park 200 cars for an event and it doesn't look full at all because you had space for double that. Williams got good plans for next year and for growth and to involve more people. A lot of folks were coming up and talking about, hey, I'm going to tell my club and have them come out. And we had good representation from a Shelby Cobra Club show up, a bunch of other groups. So it was really dynamic group of cars, huge selection of imports. Felt like a Honda VW meet, a couple guys with Mark IVs. We went around and talked to a whole bunch of people. So it was interesting for a first time taking over a legacy event, rebranding it, merging it with another one, all the logistics that he had to go through. Not bad at all. I wish William continued success. And if you're in that tri-state area or close to Cleveland, I would definitely put it on your calendar for next year. But most importantly, I didn't think I would come across one of these, and maybe you could chalk it up to rich people things as we close out our segment here. But I picked up a little something for myself while I was in Ohio. Check it out. A little show and tell here. It's the Hot Wheels Audi Quattro IMSA GTO Mega Block set with the matching diecast car.
I saw 4 of those at Target. the other day. You didn't have to get it at Rocks and Revs, but I'm glad you got it. Pat yourself on the back. Good job, buddy. That's what I appreciate about you.
Down where you're at, there's cooler stuff than up in where I am, where there's nothing. So, hey,
That's
there
true.
you go.
That's true. That's true.
But I will say, I did have a little table set up, a thing for charity and all that, to donate money to aluminum cans for bird children and for the animal sanctuary and all that. But I sold off a bunch of my Hot Wheels that I have, like a big bin of what I call the car show collection. And so I was like, well, sell off the small ones to buy the bigger ones. Sounds like playing to me. That's a 1-for-1 trade.
Yep. Yes, sir.
And that's going on the Christmas shopping list. And you know what's funny is Hot Wheels owns Mega Bloks. That's why obviously there's no license with like Lego.
I was confused by that. I was like, who is this Lego knockoff kind of thing?
So Mattel, the parent company, owns all that, right? But they're all in cahoots together. What's funny is I don't know why they chose this. Maybe because the car's kind of blocky in shape, so it was easy for them to do. But there's only one other one in this size, which it's about a 10-inch car. So think like 1/18 scale model, but it's a Corvette Stingray, like a C2. Everything else they have is more like the Speed Champion size, like 6-7 inches, but nothing this large. Maybe there's more coming in the future. Maybe it's a licensing thing. I figured they would have all that because of Hot Wheels and Matchbox and all the other brands that they own. Really curious to see what they do with the Mega Bloks. I've never built anything Mega Bloks before, so fit and finish will be mostly what I'm critiquing.
Maybe if they sell enough M5 Tourings, they'll bring the M3.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. That's the moral of the story.
So I've got a question for you because I know you. I know how you operate. Did you buy two so you can put one together and leave one in the box?
So they had 4 on the shelf.
And did you bring 4 home?
3 remained when I left. I was tempted
Oh.
to buy 2, though. I really was.
Disappointed because I know you. I know you're sitting there and it's like, well, I can get 2 of them and I can leave one as like a collector. And if I sell it in the future, then I make money on it. So it's not really costing me anything.
It wasn't cheap.
I know. I've seen them at Target. I've seen the price.
It's $80. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. It's rich people things, right? It's like you're gonna drop $80 on a Lego set. It better be damn good.
Yep.
We'll see how it turns out. For me, it's an iconic car. It's part of my childhood. One of those things that I just like, I have to have it. You know what I mean? So we'll see how it goes.
Good on you.
I am gonna take it out of the box eventually. I don't know. We'll see.
Because you want to play with it because you're 2 years old.
Of course. Well, that said, we're back to our regularly scheduled ranting and raving. So we need to talk about Porsche, Audi, and Volkswagen news. So what a great lead in there.
Actually have news for them now. That's cool.
They've lost their way, and they're so lost that they're going to expand their presence in Australia with 8 new models while everyone else has moved out.
Are they going to start selling Utes?
The list of cars is not that interesting other than the pickup trucks that we never get, like the Amarok and all that stuff. But it's the ID4 and the ID5 and the Golf and the GTI and the Tiguan. It's like, okay, great, wonderful. It is a little confusing that there's 2 vans. So we've got the ID Buzz and then there's the multi-van. Okay. And then the Transporter, stuff that we don't get here in the States. Great. You're taking your regular lineup of cars to Australia?
Yeah, where's the Mark IV Ute?
The Bug pickup?
No, the Jetta pickup or whatever
Oh,
that,
yeah,
that
yeah,
Daniel
those
wants to
too.
build. Where's one of those? That would sell like hotcakes. Where's the ID Buzz Ute?
Everything should be a Ute. Yeah, 100%.
The 2 Utes.
Have you seen the old Jeep Cherokee Ute that's down the road?
Yeah. It's like sitting back in the woods.
You got to take your trailer out there and go dig it out. That's a barn find, my friend.
No, it runs. He moved it. Now you can't tell because he backed it into the woods.
Did you see how he had it parked though? He had the wheels positioned like he was taking Facebook Marketplace pictures of it. I was like, what is happening? That's a photo shoot parking job there with the wheels cocked like that.
So it was a Jeep Wrangler Ute. That kit's pretty expensive.
No, it's Jeep Cherokee,
Oh, Cherokee Ute. Oh,
like an old square
XJ.
Cherokee.
really?
Yeah.
Now that is something special.
So instead of buying a Comanche, he just decided to make one.
It's the Comanche.
He just chopped like the back section of glass out basically because it's so short.
So he made like the Top Gear convertible.
International Scout style. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
But it definitely catches your eye because you're like, what is that?
So going back to Volkswagen and
Yeah.
trying to sell cars in Australia, I have no need for one because we already bought a minivan, but I actually really, really like the ID Buzz.
So do I. Tanya got to see it in Vegas. My wife likes it. I think we all are kind of enamored with it until they just recently released the price tag. Do you guys know how much this thing is going to cost? Why don't you guess? Let's play the game.
I already know the price, so I can't.
Before opening the page, I thought like 40, 45, somewhere around the same as the ID4.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Our listeners will not be surprised if they go back and listen to last month's $50,000 Millennial Gray Challenge. This doesn't even clock in at 50 grand. I wish, even with the tax credit, it's going to be high 50s with destination charges and everything else. Suggested MSRP of $62,000.
Without the cool colors.
Yeah.
They're using the Tesla pricing model.
Okay, let's be real. Minivans are not cool anymore. You and I both have them, but we bought them for practicality purposes and for, a million reasons. And we're like, vans make sense. Vans are big station wagons, big hatchbacks, blah, blah, blah. And you can put a lot of shit in them. It depends on how you use it. SUVs can be more functional. We can make those arguments all day long. But either way, you can buy a pretty well-equipped SUV or minivan for less than $50,000. We already know this. We've studied. But $62,000 for a Volkswagen? That better be an Arteon or a Phaeton or something. I'm like, what?
It's only 10 grand more than the next cheapest minivan.
Then what, an Odyssey? Because the Odyssey's got all these whiz-bang built-in vacuum cleaners and all sorts of crazy stuff. The Volkswagen doesn't have any of that.
So the Honda Odyssey is more expensive than that. The Honda Odyssey is actually like 42, but the 2025 Chrysler Pacifica Hybrid is 51,
Since when?
according to MSRP.
Does that include the cost of the additional transmissions?
Hey, I got an update on that. You joke. You joke.
Do you have it back yet? We never got any closure on that story.
We're on like transmission number 4. It's all good. So, but get this, they sent us a letter now because I guess they've had so many problems with those hybrids. They have extended the warranty on the hybrid transmission system for life. It will cost us $0 in a year and a half when we take it back in to get our 5th transmission. So it'll be all good.
$0, but how much time? How much money is it going to cost you to buy a replacement car to use while that's in the shop?
That is always the question. We were a little shaken in our boots the last time going like, is this it? Are we done? How much is this going to cost? We've been very fortunate. We bought the MaxCare from Chrysler when we bought it new. And so we haven't had to pay anything because it's always been under warranty. But in Stellantis's defense, to avoid a class action lawsuit, whatever, they just flat out did the same thing they did with the Jeeps during Dieselgate and said, we're just going to extend the warranty. Here you go. Done. We'll take care of it. But at this rate, even though we have the superseded newer transmission and all this kind of stuff, it already failed once. So we're like, all right, we'll see how this goes.
I thought for sure you were going to say they sent you a letter stating that they were going to buy it back, because that seems to happen to all the cars that you buy. There's a buyback.
That is 100% true. I'm waiting for that shoe to fall.
So if you had to would you buy another minivan?
We've talked about that. It would either probably be an SUV or a minivan. I would maybe lean a little bit more into the Jeep camp. Talked about getting another diesel Jeep, something 4x4 because of where we live. And when it does snow, it snows pretty bad.
Whoa, bad.
The 4xe is appealing because it's hybrid and you get the all-wheel drive, but the problem is the Jeep is really expensive. But in comparison to what a new Pacifica would cost,
See, and there you go. New Pacifica for 10 grand more. Would you get the ID Buzz?
the problem I think is the ID Buzz needs to be a hybrid and not full electric, and then we would make the jump. I don't think my wife is ready for full electric. She's said that before. She loves the fact that when she runs out of power, she can just rely on the petrol, or it's doing its regenerative thing or whatever. From a fuel economy standpoint, she's doing way better than with any diesel we ever had because she's getting mixed driving 50 miles to the gallon. I mean, we've talked about this before. So the Pacifica is really hard to replace from an economic standpoint. The problem is the transmission keeps failing. Knock on wood, the Jeep has been super reliable and it probably will be for a very, very long time. My money sort of goes in that direction. And as the kids get older, the sliding doors aren't nearly as necessary.
Yeah.
But they are super convenient. Like the sliding doors is like game changing.
That's kind of where we're at. We bought the van because the kids are so young, knowing that in about 5 years or so, we're going to upgrade to like a Tahoe or something else.
But you still cannot beat the cargo capacity of the van. I mean, the van has saved our butts so many times. You're like random trip to IKEA and you're like, well, it's going to fit.
It might not make it home, but it's going to fit.
It's going to fit. Yeah, exactly. So Volkswagen is out of their minds. $62,000 for an electric van is just way, way too much. And you're only getting 300 miles of range. $62,000 and you can only go 300 miles. That makes for a really, really long road tripping experience if that's what you're using it for. On the other side of the Volkswagen camp, in the horsepower war portfolio that they have, right? Because Bugatti, Audi, Porsche, all the hypercars that they build, I'm sitting here thinking, like, are we building ID Buzzes to offset the new Lamborghinis? Is that what this is all about? Because the new, I can't even pronounce, I didn't know there were this many different variants of bulls, because apparently every Lamborghini is named after a bull or a bullfighter or something like that. But the Temerario, 907 horsepower. Who's going to drive that?
Who's going to drive the 717 horsepower BMW wagon?
Me and Brad raised our hands. We're going to do that.
Yes, sign me up.
I'm good with 700. 900 is a bit much.
I think Eric's wrong. I'm in the opposite camp. I think the more power, the better.
Oh, well, then you're right in line for a Z06 then. Did you hear about that?
Oh, I have not heard about it yet.
Well, that's just it. Is this Lambo in response to the Z06? Because Hellcats at 700 and Mustangs at 700.
The Demons at 8 something, and yeah.
Now we're at 900. By the way, the Z06 makes 1,000 horsepower.
I was not prepared for that.
Neither are the people with the New Balance shoes that are going to buy them.
Yeah. How many are going to run into the wall coming out of the pits at a track day?
How many Hellcats were destroyed coming off the dealership lot?
Oh my God. So many Hellcats. This Lamborghini looks amazing in this green. Another green car that I'm like all about.
Green is back.
But like good greens, not some like crappy greens that are.
Is it better than the Countach?
No, to me, no. I'm all in on the Countach. The Countach has replaced the Diablo as my favorite Lamborghini, which, by the way, I saw a Diablo today on the road. It was a blast from the past, and I was very happy to see one. But the new Countach, for me, is peak Lamborghini.
This one just reminds me too much of every Huracan and whatever that came
Yeah, it's
before
just a continuation of that evolution. It's pretty, though.
So there lies the problem with the VAG family taking over Lamborghini. When Lamborghini was Lamborghini, they would be like, all right, scrap it. Let's come up with something totally ridiculous. If you look at every Lamborghini up until VW Group took over, they were just outlandish. They were garish. They were bold, daring, extreme colors, like insane cars. A lot of them are terrible to drive. But now Lamborghini has taken on this 911 model where we just continue to make it bigger, wider, more horsepower, blah, 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 blah. And we're going through this evolutionary process. And so give it another name, it goes all the way back to like the Gallardo, right? I mean, it's like, have they really changed at all in the last 15 years plus?
What was the last Lamborghini not VAG influenced? Was it the Murcielago?
Yeah, because Chrysler bought Lamborghini during the Diablo period. So, Ferruccio sold off the company. I forget to who in between Chrysler, and then Chrysler sold it off. It's changed hands a couple of times, but yeah, I think the Murcielago might be. I know there was that prototype in there, the Kala, that Ital Design did, that's sort of a bridge between the Diablo and the Murcielago, if you look at it.
Yeah.
But yeah, ever since VW took over, to me, they're all the same, except for the Countach, because that's just a tribute car at the end of the day.
Yeah, and the Murcielago is a very, very pretty car, too.
I mean, the Aventador was a pretty car.
No, I didn't like the angles. I like the Murcielagos, just kind of very Diablo-esque,
Yeah.
like updated Diablo styling.
Well, you know what has updated styling? And they say that beauty is in the eyes of the beholder. I must be apparently due for an eye exam because I don't get it. The new A6 and S6 Sportback e-trons, and they're revealed, as it says here, with aerodynamics and tech as top of mind.
You know what it looks like to me? It looks like a clog, or like those really big chunky shoes that women wear sometimes. It looks like a big chunky shoe. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. It's a giant clunky shoe with like a 3-inch rubber sole.
From the back, it looks like an A3 that gained 2,000 pounds.
Yes. He really let himself go.
I've read this before. Rich people are to blame for all of these really muted, boring primer colors that we have now. There is no way to make this shade of beige look good ever on any car. Even a 911 would look terrible in this color.
I disagree. I actually kind of like it on this car.
Where is it beige?
Beige. It's like a cream.
It's like clamshell.
It's ugly. Oh my God. The whole thing is hideous.
It's Portobello.
What are yeah, it's Portobello. This is the vegan Audi, okay?
It's a Portobello chunky shoe.
Look at the mirrors. That's what I want you to focus in
So
on.
small. Are they cameras?
They're just cameras.
What is it that Tanya says? Hot garbage. I don't like the interior either. There's nothing about this that I like. That carpeted look on the seats, it reminds me of like office carpeting from the 90s.
There's carpet on the dash too.
The light up Audi rings on the back are kind of cool.
That is kind of cool.
No, they're not. They look stupid. Oh, God, this thing is awful. I'm glad they brought back sliding accordion style slider thing there in the center console that's from like a 1984 Quantum. That looks fantastic.
This interior is tweed.
I bet this interior is better in person than how it's being represented in this photo. This is probably microfiber, but it's being photographed horribly.
The only thing that would be worse is corduroy.
The rendering doesn't look right.
And maybe it's the optics of the fisheye that they use. The door handles on the inside below the LCD screens that are the mirrors.
They finally moved the handle that when the window opened, the water doesn't go right.
No, because the water goes on top of the screen that is your mirror that is now inside the car.
No, that looks like it's up in the dash, like where your air vent would be.
This looks so Knight Rider.
So here's our polling question number 2 for Eric and Tanya and those listening at home.
The answer is no.
This or the Tesla Model Y?
This.
Oh, God. Can I walk instead?
You're going to be walking anyway with your Pacifica.
Okay, I thought about this next one long and hard. The title just kills me. I think this is Volkswagen's only way back from the brink of extinction. So it reads, the Mark 8 GTI is what they're referring to. The Mark 8 might be around until 2035 with a gas engine.
How does that help them from extinction?
They've gone EV, 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 EV.
Why would they keep a Mark for 16 years?
This is a play for them to be able to come back from their full EV model. Because otherwise, nobody's going to buy Volkswagens anymore. So when they totally go off the edge and they decide to scrap the entire ID dot whatever lineup, they can always fall back on the GTI. It's been around forever. And this one will literally have been around forever.
Just gonna like a Dodge Dart, leave like 3 of them here and there at dealerships and be like, we're still selling them. Whoo!
Why would they not redesign it?
Why would they not just release the Mark 9?
Again, I've been putting a lot of useless thought behind this particular article, trying to even gain a clue as to what VW might be thinking.
Also, why in VW's infinite styling wisdom did they put a GTI badge under the mirror?
It looks terrible.
That looks like somebody had a GTI badge in their parts bin and they walked up and just slapped it onto the side of somebody's car for fun.
It's like those letters you buy at Advanced Auto to put on the back
Yeah,
of the
it's the letters you get at Home Depot, like when you're trying to.
Turbo S with the big for sale sign S.
I mean, it could be worse. It could be a Nissan GTR badge. People put those on everything too.
After straining my mind grapes on this for a while, here's the only thing I could come up with. Okay.
Mind grapes.
There are bans in certain parts of the world against diesel and new petrol cars and things like that. If Volkswagen does the Microsoft thing, or the Apple thing, I guess, and says, this is the last operating system you'll ever need, liars. The GTI, if they keep on the Mark 8 platform, and to your point, Tanya, they keep restyling it just a little bit, but the chassis stays the same and the power plant basically stays the same. Is it really a new car when you haven't changed, let's say, the software version? It's still GTI version 8. So it's not a new car. It's an old car that they just continue to sell forever. So in my mind, they can get around these bans that have been maybe prematurely activated, where we've heard things like 2025, 2027, 2029, 2035. There's all these numbers floating around. So this way, if Volkswagen says, all right, Mark 8 is the last GTI you'll ever need, that we'll ever build, it's not a new car anymore. So I think this is a loophole that they're looking to execute on.
I have no idea what they're doing, nor do I care.
What?
I'm starting to go down the rabbit hole like Eric did. It mentions in the article that the 74 Mark I was manufactured for 34 years with the South African City Golf production ending in 2009.
That is true.
Is this going to be like the original Beetle was manufactured for, 50 years because they still made them in Mexico and stuff?
They made them in Mexico until 2003.
Yeah. So are they going to sell the Mark 8 alongside like a Mark 9 or a Mark 10 or whatever in the future.
Well, they'll sell it alongside the e-Golf, whatever it'll be called, right? Because they can't make a new petrol-powered Golf if the rules are upheld the way they're written.
Got it. Okay, yeah.
So that's my conspiracy theory, tinfoil hat or otherwise. I think they're going to do a 911 strategy and go like the Lamborghini and say, it's really not a new car.
It's gonna be the Mark 8.1, the Mark
Yeah.
8.2, the Mark 8.4.
Porsche already started doing that.
How can you have a Mark 8 and a Mark 9? The Mark 8 petrol alongside the Mark 9 electric Golf.
How can you have a Mustang and a Mustang Mach-E?
What Mustang Mach-E? That's not a Mustang.
Because up to this point, all Marks have been petrol or diesel. And
Yes.
so if the 9 is now electric, what if they do decide to make another petrol after the 8? They're just going to skip and go 10?
Well, they've already said 8.5.
It's going to be like BMW. The odd numbers are the 4 doors, and the even numbers are the 2 doors, but sometimes 4 doors.
Don't even start.
In Volkswagen terms, the odd numbers are going to be the electrics, and then the even numbers are going to be the petrols.
But did you guys see this commercial that was filmed in our backyard of
Yeah.
at all places? Summit Point Raceway.
Good old Tanner.
Tanner versus Tanner. Like, I didn't understand this commercial on multiple levels.
I think it was a really nice videography.
It was well edited.
Yes, that was nice. They put a GTI quote head to head with an R. I don't understand. I don't know. You go through the lap, they're kind of like fighting each other. Okay, sure. Like one's ahead, the other's ahead. He literally comes out of 9 and he's making the motions like he's rowing a goddamn boat
Mhm.
up the hill in the R. Like, I gotta row this mother effer to even get close to the GTI. And then he finishes in the R, have a car length ahead of the GTI. It's like, what advertising is this? So you go spend how much more than R to have the same performance as a GTI? Go spend 20, 30 grand more to have barely a faster car?
Yeah, this is like the opposite of what Porsche would have done. Didn't they purposefully make the Cayman worse so it wouldn't compete with the 911 or something
Yes.
because they didn't want to take away sales from the 911?
If Porsche had made this commercial,
It would have lapped itself.
they would have had the Paisley 917 and the 918 Carrera and the this and that, and then suddenly a Taycan would have appeared by a UFO and gone into warp speed and destroyed everything in like a nuclear inferno. Volkswagen, on the other hand, is like, hey, our shitbox that costs $20,000 less than our flagship is just as fast as our flagship. Don't you want to buy our flagship? And this is what I've been saying about the Golf, which is a problem with the Golf. Everybody goes, ooh, Golf R. Dude, it weighs 600 pounds more than the front wheel drive, and you're carrying around a bunch of ballast for nothing. So yeah, they threw 50 more horsepower at it, but at the end of the day, the power to weight ratio is the same. So you're still driving a shit box, but you have more stuff that you're lugging around, and you have less trunk space and more problems and more maintenance and everything that goes along with that. So it's sort of like if I had to choose between the two, I'd probably just buy the regular GTI because it came with a manual. They showed that when I was like, all right, you've won me over there and I'm going to save 20 grand by the time it's all said and done. So if I look at it as not an enthusiast and not a critic, ooh, that's an exciting commercial. And isn't that amazing that they filmed it at Summit Point? I'm proud of them for all of those things. But as an enthusiast, I look at it and go, as I talked about on Discord, it doesn't make sense. This is a stupid commercial. It doesn't sell me. Not like if you go back and look at the original R32 commercials they did where they were at the VW test track and they're up on the bank and they're doing, 150 plus mile an hour and like all this stuff. And it was like, holy cow, a VW that can do that kind of speed. This is just like, okay. And does anybody even remember Tanner Faust other than from the flop that was Top Gear America? I mean, Global Rallycross has been gone for like a decade now.
He's probably still contractually obligated to do things for Volkswagen.
I have a feeling, yes, absolutely. Good for Summit Point. They're going to sell -10 GTIs because of that. Meanwhile, in Lower Saxony, BMW is back on the docket, this time with some recalls. So we talked in the past, 270,000 Volkswagens recalled, umpteen million Teslas have been recalled, all this kind of stuff. Well, BMW is adding their name to the list, 720,000 vehicles recalled because of a fire risk that starts with a short circuit and a water pump.
Does it put itself out?
This is the kind of shit that drives me nuts about BMW. They've got water-cooled alternators and like other crazy concoctions that they've they've come up with on these cars over the years. It is not necessary and it is not advised to mix electronics and water. I'm just going to flat out say that as a public service announcement.
Well, where exactly is the fire? Where is the water pump located on a BMW?
Well, if it's anything like my E36, it was right in the front, like right behind this big ass pulley. So I guess basically there's a water pump failure and the water must go like everywhere and hit some sort of crucial system. Because here it says the fix is very straightforward. BMW will inspect the water pump and the problematic plug and replace it if there is any damage found, and a shield will be installed to protect the plug from errant fluids. Again, water and electricity don't mix. It affects a wide range of cars from like 2012 through 2018, it looks like on this list. You're talking X1, Z4s, 5 Series, 3 Series, X5, 2 Series, 3 Series GTs that we know Brad doesn't like, X3s, X4s, 4 Series. The list goes on and on and on. And it's just like, that's a lot of cars. I mean, 720,000 cars is nothing to sneeze at. So if you own one of these BMWs and they're willing to replace this for free, just go get it done before you end up with a smoldering pile of metal.
Yeah.
And if you have had your car melt to the ground and didn't know why, maybe it's time for a class action lawsuit. Moving on. Now it's time for some Stellantis news. Going back to Australia, I guess this month it was pretty slow, so we're going down under. Did you guys know that Citroën has been selling cars in Australia since 1923?
No, but it looks like Volkswagen is going to slide in quite nicely right into Australia's DMs once Citroën pulls out.
That's right. Citroën is leaving Australia after 100 years of sales.
Did you say 100 years of sales or fails?
Well, fails is true because they said reportedly Ferrari outsold them last year in Australia. And that's not a lot of cars. So the bigger question is, if a Citroën leaves Australia and no one's there to see it,
Does it make a noise?
yeah, does anybody care? But there's some sad news for Tanya. Actually, more like sad panda news for Tanya.
What's happening to the Fiat Panda?
But there's a silver lining because although the fourth gen Fiat Panda is going to go away after over a decade of sales in the UK, it's making room for the Grand Panda.
Grand Panda.
I want this, but it's never going to come here. Hybrid or electric powertrain.
That is super cool.
That is pretty sweet. Tanya, you just need to go buy a Jeep Renegade.
No, basically it looks like a Renegade. And it says Grand, but apparently it's smaller, shorter wheelbase than the 500X. So it's not a very big car.
Really?
It's a Granda.
10 inches smaller.
That's a significant.
So maybe bigger than in Gen 4, but not by much.
I really like the way they did the grille and the headlights and everything. I think that looks really cool. The Panda that's embossed into the side skirt, I take it or leave it.
It makes it rugged.
It also looks like a handle.
This is pretty cool, though. I would use this as a runabout.
I would buy one. And like just under 22 pounds, that's under 30 USD.
That's not bad. And it's a hatchback. It's all the things. Again, Pandas are known for being rugged.
Get it in a hybrid, so you're not relying on only EV.
Those wheels, though, those wheels are killing me. They're so 80s. Fiat Ritmo had wheels like this. Like, they're bizarre, but you can't stop looking at them.
They don't show it parked, so you can't really see what the wheels look like.
When's the Grand Panda Abarth coming out?
The Granda Abarth.
Yeah, I don't know. This is supposed to come out next year, and it won't come here, of course. Why would they? Have that first.
Maybe it will, and they'll call it the Dodge Nitro because it does look like that from the back.
Yeah, a little bit. It won't be the Dart. What else did Dodge just come out with?
Yeah, but that flat back and the Fiat there's like a lot of like original Panda, like it's exuding it.
Yeah.
But then it's like, oh, I'm new and I'm modern, but oh, you can tell that I'm trying to recall the old days.
So our listeners want to know, why hasn't Tanya imported a Fiat Panda
Right?
yet?
Don't have a good answer.
They're so cheap.
Well, then I think we found our next segment. Updates on Tanya importing a Fiat Panda.
You might get a Cybertruck first.
This episode's update? No update.
I don't know how to do it, so.
Oh, but there are ways to do it.
Yes.
It's not difficult. You just find one of those companies that does the importing.
One of those guys.
One of those guys.
You talk to that guy who imported the Volvo from GTM.
Yeah, that's right. Season 1 of our show, we had a guy import a Volvo from Sweden. That's right.
I'll go see if the one in Texas is for sale. One of those guys that imported one.
It's got to be a 4x4 Sisley, though. You got to have the Sisley, like James May had on Top Gear.
Well, I mean, if you're going to import one, you got to get top of the line.
Top speed, 45 miles an hour. Yeah. Well, anyway, moving on with a little bit more domestic news, shying away from Stellantis yet again. I think Big Brother is listening because as soon as we stop talking about the Maverick and the Ranger Super Duty and all that stuff last month, I get another thing coming flying across my desk. Get this, the Maverick Lobo edition. And I'm like, okay, what now? Apparently, this truck is down to clown, according to Car and Driver. Like, who writes these articles? Like, seriously.
What's the point of it?
It's got wheels that look like they came off of kit. Other than that, it's got stitched leather seats. I mean, it's a Maverick.
I mean, it's lowered. Low boy. Lowered.
Yeah, whatever. They dropped it half an inch in the front and 1.1 inches in the rear. Woo. Like, that's like a street kit on a GTI. Like, come on, really?
Why in the picture does it look like it's lowered more in the front?
I don't know. And they say it comes with brakes from the Focus ST, which I'm scratching my head going, Focus ST is a really small car in comparison to this truck. And it has the twin clutch from the Bronco Sport. Okay, great. And the power is unchanged. So you're going to spend more. You're going to spend $37,000 for the Lobo for a 238 horsepower, 2-liter EcoBoost 4-cylinder.
Okay, wait.
Where does it say EcoBoost? I've been trying to find that.
Well, you know it's the EcoBoost.
He's
They only
assuming.
make one 4-cylinder.
Do they? I don't know.
Can you imagine this truck with like the 4-cylinder from the Focus back in the day? It'd be like, you'd want to get out and light it on fire. It'd be horrible.
That's the type of stuff I've come to expect from Ford. So that's why I was looking.
Terrible.
Because nowhere in the article does it say EcoBoost, which I would have thought would have been everywhere. Every time they mentioned the motor, it would have been EcoBoost.
There's another article that says turbocharged 4-cylinder.
See, there you go.
Okay, so that is the EcoBoost then.
238 is pretty weak, even for the EcoBoost, too, because the power pack on the Mustang was like 278 or something like that. Apparently, the setup has been detuned for 2025. It's going down. They took away horsepower.
You know what this is? This is the Chevy S10 Extreme from the
Yes.
90s with the same 4.3 liter, but a body kit and lowered
Yep.
and just it's an appearance package,
If
basically.
you already had a Maverick.
Those wheels are ugly. Wouldn't you just buy something aftermarket that's better?
I don't know. The wheels are kind of cool. They're very Mad Max to me.
Yeah, but okay, they're sort of like the bowling balls from the 82 Trans Am, right? In my opinion.
Let's
But
do some math. Math is a wonderful thing.
get off your ass and do some math. I know where you're going with this, Tanya.
So for 28 grand, you can buy a regular Ford Maverick, or you can spend 8,000 more starting at 36,600 for wheels and suspension. So you can't buy a new suspension and 4 new wheels for less than 8 grand.
You could put this sucker on bags and better wheels for less than 8 grand.
But the interior, you're not going to get the slightly upgraded interior.
Slightly upgraded. Oh, give me a break.
As
This is trash. Nobody's gonna buy that thing.
Someone's gonna buy it.
someone who's not a fan of the Maverick to begin with, I think all this is dumb.
I mean, it's still only 36,000 for a pickup truck, so somebody's gonna buy it.
Yeah.
But it's not, it's a Honda Ridgeline, basically.
And people bought that.
They did. Oh
Yeah.
my god.
And I laugh at them every single time I see one.
All right. Well, we got to call back something we talked about a couple drive-throughs ago where GM had hired one of the C-level folks from Apple and all this. They're going to bring in the new technology and the systems are going to be similar. You know, it's not going to be GM with theirs and Cadillac with the other thing and this and that and the other, whatever. Since then, that guy packed it up and left. And they've laid off 5,000 people with retirement buyouts and all sorts of stuff. And guess what? I even got a notice from LinkedIn that was like, hey, pump the brakes. Have you heard the latest? GM's laying off another 1,000 people, but quote, not downsizing due to cost cuts. Yeah, okay, sure.
They've got to be able to afford those bonuses and golden parachutes for the C-suites.
Unbelievable. Again, making all the right moves. I guess they got to pay for their C8R program somehow, right?
But there is no C8R program. Remember,
It's a
GM pulled,
customer-based program, yeah.
yeah, GM pulled out of sponsorship for that.
Nobody knows what GM's building. They haven't really dipped their toes back into the EV world. There's no hybrids. There's no Cruise.
GM doesn't know what GM's building.
We've gone to that well several times and the bucket comes up dry. So they're monoliths. It's like moving mountains to get anything to happen over there. So in 10 or 20 years, we'll understand what GM was up to in 2024. It's all good. But maybe it's because they got to, quote unquote, allegedly not cutting costs due to downsizing or whatever, because they have to pay $15 million in a class action lawsuit to Duramax owners because of a fuel pump problem.
Surprise, surprise. Guess who's involved with them? Bosch.
Here we go again. More Dieselgate nonsense.
Yep.
But it could also be, and I'm surprised Tanya didn't jump on me for this, bad investments like, oh, I don't know, Nikola, maybe?
Bad investments like the development of the most recent Impala in Malibu.
I can't believe people buy those cars.
Enterprise buys those cars.
So you couldn't see me the other day. I was trying to point to you when we were following each other.
Was that before or after we almost got pulled over by the cop?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Because I wasn't stupidly, I'm like, oh, Eric's going to set the pace correctly because he's in front. Meanwhile, I would have been the sucker that got caught. Anyway, no. We were already really close back home, but there was a Malibu RS or something like that. I was like, what is this? Hot
Whoa.
carb right there next to us. I was like, what?
I got confused on the road. I saw a Colorado with a V badge, and I was like, they made a Colorado V? Like a CTS V? And then I got closer and it says V6. So obviously that's my poor eyesight at this
Because
point.
that 6 is like a red color.
Right?
The V is silver and the 6 is red.
Exactly. So it's hard to see the red from a distance, but it was like Colorado V? It's weirder things out there.
It's the Colorado V Black Lung.
The black lung. It's the diesel version.
Yeah.
Speaking of the black lung, GR Corolla owners, Tanya, this could have been you.
It would have been me.
Luck is not on our side sometimes, but neither is it for these folks. Can you believe this stuff? More than one GR Corolla has burned to the ground.
And by more than one, too. So,
It's a true statement.
well, it's not funny, especially since Toyota's like middle finger because our warranty says that you shouldn't exceed 85 miles an hour.
Like, what? I read
Okay.
this several times, and I agree with the author of this particular article because one of the things he pointed out, Toyota's using this logic of, okay, we built a car that can do, let's say, 140 miles an hour, right? Because the GR Corolla is peppy and is fast.
This is the circuit edition, so this is the track prepped one, right?
And then there's whatever that midnight murdered out Mitsu package.
Yeah, that's really the track one because it comes with no back seats and like a half cage and all that stuff.
GR Corolla GT3 or whatever it is, right? So let's just say they built a 140 mile an hour hatchback, okay? Fine.
That you can't accelerate.
Yeah, drive it like you're going to the grocery store. You shouldn't exceed 85, which is higher than most US speed limits, except if like you're in the middle of Montana or something like that, right? Where there is no speed
Yes,
limit.
and that's fine. But
The author says and points out when you buy one of these cars, Toyota gifts you a track day.
yeah, and you will exceed 85 miles an hour.
So here's the part that really scares me and makes it so I will never buy a Toyota performance car if this is the case. Toyota told him at some point in the car's life, it sent out a data packet
Yeah.
that included the car's speed. I mean, Skynet alert. What in the world is this?
Yeah, that's the scary part.
It's sending back pings with data to Toyota that they can use to void my warranty because they deem fit. First of all, do they ever explain what that certain speed is? I don't see anywhere where here it says, but apparently he went 114 miles per hour once, and they don't care that the car comes with a track day. I guess you have to go to a track where you do not exceed that speed. That to me is very scary, that my car is going to ping Toyota with data about me.
Yeah, for sure. And there's been tons of cases about that. And it's not just Tesla, before people get on the bandwagon and start blaring those trumpets. It's other brands that are doing exactly what you're saying. They're snooping on you. This is what we've said about those insurance companies. They're like, plug this thing into your OBD for the good driver discount. Yeah, you can keep all that crap. But in this case, how do we know that this alleged 114 mile an hour that this gentleman did with his GR Corolla wasn't at Summit Point, as an example? Maybe it was Tanner Faust shooting a commercial with a regular Corolla showing how good the two are together. But the point is, we don't have any reason, season, or justification for the 114 mile an hour. And I'm not trying to absolve anyone of their sins, but the point is, you build a performance car that can't do what it's supposed to do on paper. Say one of these things burned to the ground
with somebody in it.
during a test, like car drivers testing the car. How do you know that this wasn't a demo car at some point? You don't know. There's so many variables. The problem here is Toyota's been known for having really good warranties and being upstanding and all those kinds of things. Not if you own a GR Corolla. Does this extend to all GR products? The 86, the Supra, the Yaris, and so on down the line? This is the first we're hearing about it because the Corolla is the newest car. How does this apply to other vehicles? So, Brad, you do a maneuver on the highway and you got to go around a semi truck and you hit the not recommended speed of 85. Maybe you do 86 miles an hour to get around them. Did you just void the warranty on your Sienna?
You know, that's a great question because I've done triple digits in the Sienna. So I don't know what type of data, but I bought the vehicle used. So I'm not even relying on Toyota for the warranty anyway.
If it's not calling home like ET,
Well, true.
They're being somewhat misleading.
the author or Toyota?
Everyone.
Everything on this, because the 85-mile-an-hour thing, if this is a quote from the Toyota manual, it just says to not drive over 85 miles an hour unless your vehicle has high-speed capability tires. So that statement alone goes, hey, it's okay, go faster if you've got ultra high performance summers or slicks on. Driving over 85 may result in tire failure, loss of control, and possible injuries.
Why would you sell this car with Maypops?
Well, that's just legalese speak, although it's very specific to say 85 miles an hour and not like average posted speed limit or something, right? Like you're basically saying it's okay to speed, but just don't speed over this amount.
If we go to Tire Rack right now and look for replacement tires for a GR Corolla, you don't think those are Z or V rated tires? That's what that means. ZR, VR, or whatever. Those are speed ratings, and anything in that range is going to be above 100 mile an hour.
Just go to Toyota's website and see what tire.
Were they selling Prius tires on a GR Corolla?
From the factory, the car comes with 235/40 R18 Michelin Pilot Sport 4 high performance summer tires.
Those are 150 mile an hour tire. Easily. Michelin Pilot Sport, are you kidding me? Can't exceed 85 mile an hour in my butt.
Pilot Sports are 300.
300 tread wear is autocross tire. 200 tread wear is a track tire. And then once you go below that, you're starting to dip into slicks and all that. The moral to the story is lots of horsepower with a small engine means lots of heat. And in a confined space, like a hatchback, transverse, there's not a lot of room for airflow.
I don't know that that's the problem, because if you read the second guy's experience, it almost sounds like it was an electrical error.
I thought I read somewhere else that somebody blew a hole in the side of one of those motors.
The other guy that was driving his, he got a phone notification from Toyota Connect that said there was a malfunctioning electronic control. Check the engine. And then he said he didn't feel any loss of power.
Boom.
And then smoke started coming out. Pulled over, and then it went up in flames.
Zero warning. Well, you got a warning. You got a text message.
You know, don't text and drive, but maybe it came up on a screen or something. But good thing you read that text message. I mean, the smoke would have been obvious and you would have pulled over anyway.
So this begs the question, what is going on with Toyota? Because not too long ago, they had issues with the Turbo 6s and the Tundras too. Something is afoot at the Circle K.
It's unfortunate because their reputation has been built on their reliability and...
Yeah, but that reputation was built on non-turbo engines. Think about that
True.
for a second.
True.
All of their long-standing, hard-working cars are non-turbo cars. Like they've dipped their toe in the German pond, and I think they've realized that the water's a little too hot.
But to counter that, the Turbo Supra from the 90s was one of the best built motors ever.
The 2JZ is an incredible engine. There is no doubt. But think about that. They haven't had another turbo engine really since.
You're right. Yeah. I mean, the first one that came out since then was the one that they partnered with BMW on.
And if you think about it, the BRZ or the 86, which continues to be non-turbo, Toyota must have told Subaru, because we're all sitting here going, it's such a slug. Why wouldn't you put a turbo on it? I'm thinking Toyota's like, no turbos, no turbos, no turbos. And then finally the bow broke, and with the Yaris, because basically the motor in the Corolla is the motor from the Yaris.
The Celicas came turbocharged too, so were they the same motor as the Supras?
But the Celicas were turbocharged back in the 80s and 90s.
Way back when.
Way back, yeah. Because you're talking about the Alt Track or whatever it's called. The Celicas after that weren't turbo.
Are we just saying then they forgot how to build turbos?
Yes.
The technology has changed.
They also forgot how to build inline sixes, which is why the Supra is a BMW engine.
What's happening is they're cutting corners.
More likely.
And the 2JZ engineering won out, not finance. And that's why it was so overbuilt.
Well, not only that, packaging of the 2JZ, it was longitudinal. So again,
Yeah.
it goes back to airflow. You've got a lot of stuff going on in a very small space. Not to say that the Supra was a Buick Riviera under the hood, but the point is, with an inline, there was more ways to cool it than there is in those Yaris's and in those Corollas.
Yeah.
And the thing is, the Yaris has proven itself on the WRC stage, but that's a race car and it's different. If you looked at how many louvers and vents and cooling and ducts and wings and fenders and everything that those cars have, they're nothing like the street car. Plus, the chassis is all tube frame. They've got a lot more room for the heat to be dissipated than in the street cars
All I'm going to say is I would not want to own a turbo Toyota
right now.
Yeah. I'll stick to my big, slow, laboring V8 that just kind of putt-putts around at like 1200 RPM at 70 miles an hour.
And it'll be big, slow, and laboring for the next 100 years.
Exactly. It's going to last me forever. So I'll stick to that.
You know, Brad, we talked about a whole bunch of cars over the years, lost and found, things you can still get on the dealership lot. And I think up until not too long ago, you could still get NSXs on the dealership lot. And we were like, man, did they stop making that car like in 2016 or 2018 or something like that? Acura confirms a new NSX, we're going to put air quotes around that, is headed to production with an EV power plant.
Did you see me on there? That's how I feel about rich nerds doing rich nerd things.
And I'm going to be the great Karnak for a moment and say this is going to sell 1% of what the NSX sold.
Which was already 1% of what Honda sold.
Exactly. The NSX was already a hybrid, especially in racing. So that's where the E-Ray got its inspiration from, right? So I'm like, do we really need this? But I will say this, kind of speaking to the E-Ray and speaking to the Corvette and the Lamborghini that we were talking about earlier, it is sort of amazing that cars like this are still being produced, these like quote unquote supercars or hypercars. I think it's interesting though, and I heard somebody say this recently, that companies like Corvette producing cars like the C8 allow the other manufacturers to continue to build stuff like this. And it's not even in a competitive way. It's like, well, if GM is still doing it, then we can still do it too. There must be interest. There must be people that want to buy it. It's a really interesting way of kind of framing why supercars still exist. Because if you think about it, they're impractical, they're expensive, they're not economical in any way, shape, or form. And it's like, why do we still have these other than for the posters on our wall? In reality, with AI being what it is these days, Acura could make an NSX that we can put on our wall that they'll never produce. And I'll still look at it and go, man, that's really sexy. It's really nice, but it's fake. But I have to applaud them for their tenacity to continue to pursue these ideas that supercars need to be built because they are awe-inspiring. They're a testament to the technology and to the advancement of the companies, but I don't think this is going to sell well. I took the slow boat to justify that there. Sorry, guys.
Oh, sorry. Were you saying something? I blacked out for a minute.
That's the second time she's done that to us this episode.
What was the other time?
When we were doing the Letterman top 15.
Oh my God.
Oh, listeners. Oh my God.
That was some dry stuff, but I hope people enjoyed it.
We're just not tickling Tanya's fancies this time. She's just not into it. You know what I mean? The doldrums of summer.
Really awkward.
Well, Tanya, let's talk about what do you want to talk about?
Apparently, I want to talk about the next MG.
Ooh.
You don't want to talk about three-wheeled things?
Oh, I skipped that. I'm sorry. Apparently, what I really want to talk about is something I know nothing about.
I added this because we don't get to talk about motorcycles very often, and I'm not plugged into motorcycle news as much as I should be, but I just don't see things like Ducati is coming out. It always feels like, yeah, okay, they have a new Monster 9,000,003 or whatever it is, and that's great. And then they make that for like 15 years, and then they come out with the next one. This one came across my desk, and I was like, am I missing something? Three-wheeled vehicles.
Trikes.
Is it a trike when the wheel is in the front or in the back?
I don't know.
The front.
Okay, so three-wheeled where there's two in the front and one in the back. What is that called? The triangle?
That's called crap.
Reverse
That's
trike.
it's called poser.
Okay, so we're on the same page. They're dumb.
Well, let's be nice. They're not
No.
dumb. They're just for a certain demographic.
People that want to be motorcycle riders and they want to be part of the community, but they don't want to learn how to ride a motorcycle.
There you go. Or they're older.
But then they get like a traditional trike Harley. They don't get whatever this abomination is.
This thing is so big. It has a 10 and a quarter inch Apple CarPlay compatible touchscreen. It's a three-wheeler.
I want to know when Ewan McGregor is going to take one of these around the world, like he did with the BMW motorcycles. You know when that's going to happen? Never, because he's not a poser.
And the reason I say this is rich people things, do you guys want to guess how much this costs?
I'm guessing $45,000.
You're a little high.
42.5.
For the listeners, it's a 2025 Can-Am Canyon, three-wheeled triangular thing. It's not a trike because the wheel is in the back. So it's like a motorcycle. It's a mullet. Business in the front with two wheels and you steer, and it's motorcycle in the back.
Even the person riding it in the picture does not look like they're having any
No,
fun.
not at all. They don't look like they're enjoying this. Okay, so back to the price. Suggested MSRP, $27,000 for this. Upwards of $33,000 with options.
I don't know. How much does a regular Can-Am cost?
Probably mid-20s.
You can't ride this on the street. You literally have to buy a trailer to take this somewhere to go ride it, not on the road.
Why can't you ride it on the street?
Well, isn't that the same thing with the Can-Am?
That's street legal?
Can-Ams are street legal. I mean, the three-wheel motorcycles like this are street legal.
Yes.
They're registered as motorcycles.
It's about the mullet thing, right?
I mean, it is what it is. It must fit in with this crowd of ATV-ish.
Look at all the crap that they bolted to it.
You're going on your off-road adventure and you're gonna go camp. I don't know, you're gonna go do dirt through the woods.
I mean, the wheelbase of the new Fiat Panda is as big as this thing. You can go off-road with that too.
I mean, you could go off-road with a Sisley.
You can't get the Fiat Panda in the US.
Exactly. We can't get the Fiat Pan in the US, so you gotta get this crap for twice as much.
Speaking of other things that we can't get US, Tanya, you already hit the nail on the head. Let's go to the Brits. What are they going to offer us?
But you're over there, you can get an MG, and
They're still making
who
cars?
cares?
The MG Zez.
The ZS. Why do they keep taking weird pictures of it? Like it has no windshield. Did you look at these pictures?
They're poorly framed pictures too. Like the one where it's like 50% of it is like the pavement that the car's sitting on.
Right? My kids would take better pictures than this.
But the car is not officially unveiled yet. It's coming out next week. The pictures should be slightly better.
It looks like every other Peugeot, Hyundai, they all look the same. Again, I thought MG went out of business, so
It should have.
They're owned by some Chinese company.
sometimes we talk about concepts in this section of EVs and concepts. Every once in a while, there's an interesting concept that comes up. And we talked about the students that created the solar powered bus. And they did that multiple times and tried to go on that trip across Europe and, success or failure, whatever. And I brought this up before because of the Fisker solar roof, which didn't work. And then Tesla has their solar roof, allegedly, maybe laser beams in 10 years type of thing. But these college kids created solar powered EV chargers. This could be like a winner. I think this is cool.
Well, that's the whole meme about people who own electric vehicles, right? It's like, oh, cool, you're running electric and like you're still getting the power from fossil fuels or something, right? Like
Yeah.
big oil. And it's like, well, if you really want to be all environmental and purely sustainable, you need exactly this. You need to be charging your car from the sun. Good on these college kids for having class project build solar panels that are now being used on their campus. I find it article funny where it's like, and the students can use free parking passes to use the charger. I'm like, what college kid is rolling up with EVs? I mean, maybe that's the new thing these days. I don't know.
Dad's old Model S is now
Ah,
the car to go to college with, right?
got it.
Well, as we switch to Brad's favorite section, Lost and Found, where we don't scour the internet anymore looking for the newest old car on used dealership lots, we are going to go back to the 90s to something that Brad and I remember quite well.
Yes. Yes, the Mystic Cobras. It wasn't just the Fox body either. It was the SN95 after that. Yeah, all the way through 2004, they sold cars in that color. Cobras, only Cobras.
Well, RTR, the Mustang tuner, is bringing us back to the 90s. They are bringing Mistachrome paint back because Ford won't do it.
I was just about to say, because the piggyback on that, Ford has told people that the new GTR, the new race Mustang, you cannot get in this color. You can get any other color you want in the world, but you can't get this because it's too hard.
Obviously, RTR figured it out. It's not that hard.
Yeah.
And you know what? I didn't like it back then, but I've really come to appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's still a little bit color changing Hot Wheels. Remember when you would buy those and you could pour water on them and the color would change and you'd watch it change back and the whole thing? That's sort of what it reminds me of. But it's cool. Like it goes through the whole rainbow, basically, right?
Yeah.
Tanya, what about you? Would you paint your car this color?
No.
Would you buy a Mistachrome Fiat Panda?
Ooh, that would look pretty good, actually.
I mean, I could repaint it, so
Mystic Chrome wrap would be really cool. Think about that. When you get tired of it, you just peel it off.
Yep.
But then would that lay right? Like, how would that work? Like, it would change color within the cuts. That would look really bad. That would be horrible.
Way to talk yourself into it and then out of it.
Well, and then I realized BMW is going to do this with that Kindle paint that they have, so they can just do the Mystic Chrome right there from the dashboard.
What if you're doing like a software update to make that do that and like the update doesn't complete? So like half the car is one color. It's like it's gonna look literally like the loading bar.
good point here. So you have this computer controlled color changing car. And what if the car bricks itself? Does it go full blue Microsoft with a frowny face? Things gone wrong.
Your car's paint software has shut down unexpectedly. Please restart your car.
Speaking of bad paint jobs, we saw a Cybertruck today, and my eldest points out, she's like, Dad, why does it look so dirty? And I just smiled.
Dirty.
So dirty.
Because, honey, that's what happens to stainless steel when you do anything with it.
I literally told her, because we bought one of these countertop ice makers, and it had, that like light blue plastic on the stainless that they put
That's
on.
how Cybertruck should be delivered.
I was thinking that, right? I told her, I said, you remember when I kind of got like just in my own head about your mom taking the plastic off of the ice maker? She's like, yeah. Have you looked at it lately? And I got to keep cleaning it because it just looks gross like all the time. She's like, yeah, I have noticed. And I said, this is why I didn't want you to take the plastic wrap off the ice maker. So to your point, Brad, the Cybertruck should have that plastic wrap on there.
You're such a curmudgeon. Do you have plastic wrap on your couches now? Did you go that far back into the 80s?
No, but Tanya keeps it on her TVs though.
You've turned into your parents.
No, you know what? I took my plastic off my TV. What happens? My TV dies.
Those things are totally unrelated.
Is it a Tesla TV? Because that sounds like something that would do.
Yeah, so keep your plastic shipping tape, like the Challengers with that yellow stuff on the spoiler. Keep it on your Cybertruck. That's all I'm saying about that.
Well, that's what you need to do. You need to go buy some carbon fiber wrap for your ice maker.
That's a really good idea. It drives me nuts.
I know Al can do that for you.
That's true. We got to come up with a cool name for my ice maker. It's got to have like a Cybertruck name to it.
Cyber Ice.
Cyber Ice. That just sounds dumb.
Ice baby.
Well, switching gears and talking a little bit more about Lost and Found, if you're just tuning into the show now or you're catching up into our catalog of Break Fix episodes, we recently did our first ever two-part What Should I Buy that was Mark specific. And that's Mark as in type of car specific. It's a series about the battle between Porsche and Corvette over the last 70 years. And I know you can get on your soapbox on either side and stats and figures and racing records and all those kinds of things. But what we're really talking about in those two episodes is what we call the every person's sports car, which both the 911 and the Corvette were always marketed to people as, right? This is the every person sports car. So we talk through the 70 plus years and the 8 generations of both cars and try to determine what was the best bang for your buck and where to invest your collector dollars or, those kinds of things, depending on if you're new to Corvette or if you're new to Porsche or if you already have a bunch of Corvettes, should you buy another one? Why? All those kinds of things. It was really, really cool. It was very, very well received. Those episodes are trending really well. If you haven't listened to them, go back and listen to them. Corvette first, Porsche second. That's part 1 and part 2. They do feed into each other. Lots of great information in there. And I do want to give a huge thank you and a shout out to our panel of petrol heads, different people other than the core panel on both episodes. They did a stellar job with this idea, which, by the way, has been baking since last car week when Don and I were kind of strategizing on some different What Should I Buy. So we're happy to finally be able to release this two-parter after a year in the making. And again, they're available everywhere you stream, download, or listen to Break Fix Podcast. But we got one more Lost and Found for you guys. And it sort of borderlines into the uncool wall. Do you think that this POS is worth $7,500?
If that is worth $7,500, then my coupe is worth 10 grand.
10. Your car is
15.
worth 30.
Damn. There you go. I was being a low baller.
Would you spend $7,500 on an 86 Chevy Cavalier Z24?
No. What's important is this person has a very interesting car lineup. Did you see the cars in the background?
Oh, yeah.
That's a Mark I Rabbit,
GTI.
an NA Miata, what looks to be the sensible car, the Lincoln. I think that looks like either a Lincoln or a Cadillac, and then a Fox body.
Yep.
This person has a very interesting taste in cars. That's the only thing worth mentioning for this whole thing.
There's nothing to say about this humble product from GM.
It's clean. I am shocked though about the features that this thing has. A moonroof sunroof in 1986. I'll give him that.
Yeah, and it's a stick shift and it's got a digital dash and all the things that are wrong about the 80s at GM.
Even the interior looks like it's in good condition.
Do you want to sit in that though? Come on. You know what that feels like.
What interior is better, this or the interior in that Audi?
Ooh, they're really similar actually. Those seats. Oh, oh, God, oh.
It only has 71,000 miles on it. That's why it's so
That's
clean.
71,000 too many that somebody spent in that thing. Jesus.
Yeah, it should have been 7,100 miles. Then maybe it's
Burned
worth
to the ground.
$400.
Those
Oh.
are some trash gauges. Wow. Though, for 1986, I mean, they had that digital dash like the 87 and a half GTs.
So the importance behind this car, the reason I bring it up is because back in the day, I don't know if you remember, Tanya, but when Dad was going on his whole pro solo tour and campaigning the Honda, he had a choice. Ben offered him one of these in white or the CRX.
Ben raced one before.
Yes.
He was already racing one. Yeah.
Yes. One of these Cavalier Z24s. And he's like, but I have this CRX over here. And it's like, gee, that was a hard choice. Can you imagine pro soloing a Cavalier? Like, come on. What a turd. No way. Well, like always, we would be remiss. We didn't talk about.
There's love.
You notice we didn't start with the Cybertruck this time?
True, we started with Monterey.
Is there even any Cybertruck news?
Yeah, there's no Cybertruck news, but remember last time we talked, there was 11,000 Cybertrucks being recalled? Well, if that wasn't enough, Tesla said, GM, hold my bear. You remember when the Corvette C8, we would make fun that it had the hood latch problem and might come up and smack the windshield and all that kind of crazy stuff they were having?
Forgot about that.
1.8 million Teslas are being recalled for a very similar issue with their hood release or frunk release.
Not that they don't latch, they latch, so that's not the problem. The problem is the sensor, if you didn't put it all the way down, doesn't alert you that the hood is ajar.
The hood is a hood, it's never a jar.
Ba ding ding. He's here all night, ladies and gentlemen. So apparently it's a software update that's already available.
Oh, come on.
Which then I'm like, do other cars have hood sensors?
Going back to cars like, let's just use our favorite generation of Volkswagen, the Mark IVs had hood sensors.
The cable.
They never worked though.
Yes, my 2003 has a hood sensor. And I only know though, if you try to lock the car, it will not lock.
That's all it does.
But there's nothing to alert me if I were to turn the car on and start driving.
Correct. It's a useless sensor that you can fuse the two wires together and delete it. That's how good
I
it
mean,
is.
this is kind of like a lame recall. I mean, yeah, they should recall it, I guess. I don't know, but whatever. The more interesting recall is the 9100 Model X's that have apparently trim pieces that I guess fall off.
Ah. But isn't that just normal now for Teslas? Like just stuff falls off of them because it's not attached correctly to begin with?
Apparently the trim pieces on the roof. The Model X's have the doors that come up.
The gull wings, yeah.
Is it the roof or is it the door trim pieces? I don't know. And maybe it's the center piece of the roof.
I guess what astonishes me, and this is where fact gets confirmed because of the recalls. So they have to disclose how many cars need to be recalled, which confirms the number of cars that they sold. When you kind of separate the lies from the more lies of all the cars that were sold, 9,100 Model X's are being recalled. So that's how many Model X's are out there in the wild. That's not that many. That's not a lot of cars for as many years as that car's been on the road.
They can't fix this with a software update?
No. With some Elmer's glue, though.
Apparently they sold 24,000 of these during the pandemic. In 2022, sales units was 24,000.
But we sell millions! Millions! Yeah, okay.
But apparently only 9,100 of them have a problem with the trim pieces falling off.
The other, 12,000 or whatever haven't driven long enough.
Or they don't exist. They're just license keys.
They're sitting on abandoned lots in Texas.
If that wasn't bad enough, we switch over to what we like to call now, that's unfortunate. And what happened over with some other Teslas, Tanya?
This is your Tesla semi-truck that caught on fire on a highway.
We're just going to leave it there.
They say that EVs don't catch on fire at any greater rate than ICE engines,
The article is very quick to point that out.
right? My real question is, whose semi was this? Frito-Lay? Pepsi?
That would have been an interesting fire.
That would have smelled interesting. Not many people have taken stock of these.
So I love how the crime scene report, or whatever you want to call it, that they fill out. So there was no crash, and it's not clear if the truck caught on fire first or if the cargo caught on fire first. So this might not have been a semi problem.
What was your cargo?
Fireworks? I don't know. According to this, the firefighter mentioned a lithium ion battery fire.
The cargo could have caught on fire if the batteries are underneath the cargo.
Right. But according to this, because of the path that it was taking and where it was going from Nevada to California, apparently this might have been a Tesla carrying Tesla batteries.
Here's our Florida man.
Oh,
Jesus Christ.
cargo could catch on fire.
Correct. Because it's being jostled around.
How did they put it out? If that really was a cargo of lithium batteries and they went off, you'd have to drop the MFR in the ocean.
It's
I mean,
unreal.
given how long allegedly it takes them to put out just a regular old Tesla fire, and then they gotta like leave it in a pond because 20 minutes later it could reignite. Oh my God. It couldn't have been then. It couldn't have been. This would have been like such hot news, literally.
Literally. You know what else is hot news and also unfortunate? There was an article that came out that says Recaro is bankrupt.
I was going to go there, yes.
Recaro's bankrupt. BBS is in insolvency and making a complete hat trick. Fanatec has also gone in that same direction where they're losing their butt.
They lost a big contract with the manufacturer, didn't they?
Yeah, Recaro, I don't understand their business model because there's so many different lines of seats that they produce, whether it's for aerospace, whether it's for busing, for marine, for cars. I think this is specifically for cars and it doesn't affect the other ones. And some people have said it's because of rules in the different industries. So they have different sub companies. So it's not all of Recaro that's going bankrupt. It's just the automotive division. And if you kind of think about it, it makes sense. Like I see the Recaro booths at Petit Le Mans, you go to some of the other races and stuff, and you're like, okay, cool. And you look at the price and you're like, my factory seats are pretty good now. It's not like the 80s where it's like, yeah, okay, you buy the GTI because it comes with the Recaro seats. Ooh, a lot of those seats are still made by Recaro. And to your point, maybe they lost a contract or two, but who's buying replacement seats? That whole business line just doesn't make sense. And if you're building a race car, you're not going to buy a Recaro. You're going to buy a Sparco or an OMP or one of the other brands because they have the certifications and the Halo. And I mean, I'm sure Recaro has those too, but I don't walk around the paddock and see Recaro racing seats and race cars.
No, only if the car came with them.
Now, BBS, they could have lowered the price of their wheels eons ago and more people would have bought them. BBSs have always been notoriously expensive and extremely light, which made them very delicate. And if you bent a BBS and it's like, well, you might as well take a mortgage out on the house. That doesn't surprise me that they're in insolvency because that market is also saturated. There's so many low-cost wheel manufacturers. BBS isn't going to be your first choice because there's folks now that can make basket weaves.
You have all the knockoffs instead of Prada. You can get Prado for.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
So, talking about Fanatec made their nut during COVID, and everybody that bought a sim rig has already bought a sim rig. And that's one of those finite industries that it's like, have you literally reinvented the wheel and the pedal box? I mean, unless they do something in the vein of Apple or Microsoft where they push a patch and somehow make your pedal box unusable again, who are you going to upgrade for? And replacement bushings and springs, there's no market in that. And so many people got into that game, and there's so many other manufacturers now too that it's like Fanatec's really expensive. And I've gotten the opportunity through folks like David Middleton and MIE to sample other rigs that are out there. And the Fanatec stuff, it's not that nice, especially for the price. There's far nicer stuff for a lot less money. I mean, if you just want to buy the name Fanatec, okay, fine. So I kind of feel like that's systemic of all three of these companies. If you want to buy Recaro for the name to say you have a Recaro, if you want to buy BBS because you want to say you have BBSs or you want to buy a Fanatec, it's sort of the same thing, but they're not so good that they're lifestyle brands that everybody everybody is into now. Maybe it's the end of an era for some of these companies that we're used to seeing for so many years. Think about it. I'll draw you a parallel. When was the last time you bought something from Momo?
When I put that steering wheel in my
My
O3.
steering wheel. That was almost 10 years ago now.
Yeah, but you bought it once,
Well, yeah, because thankfully I've never needed to replace it.
right?
That's the problem with making a quality product that you don't need to replace.
Oh, well, I guess we'll see what happens. I mean, bankruptcy doesn't mean that Recaro's shutting its doors. Insolvency doesn't mean that BPS is going away. It just means that they're restructuring. They're in financial trouble. Maybe somebody will swoop in and buy them. They'll get absorbed by another, whatever. I've always thought Recaro and Sparco and Momo and all them might one day eventually just merge because the products are all so very similar in some respects. Hey, who knows? But we don't know what the future holds for any of these folks, but I don't want to see the brands go away either. Now, since we're still talking about lowered expectations, I saw a good one the other day. I was driving down the highway. I was coming home. Traffic was down to a crawl. I mean, a drive that would have normally taken me 20 minutes took me an hour and 20 minutes. As I got closer to the crash scene, you guys will appreciate this. What did I see? A Nissan flipped over the Jersey barrier, and immediately I said, jump the Waltima.
Even though it's a Nissan.
Well, it was an Altima.
Well, it was an Altima?
Why was it Altima? It jumped the Waltima.
Oh, so it actually was an Altima. I thought it was-
Yes. So I
Nice.
was like, I found a new one. Jump the Waltima. On top of that, because I was sitting in traffic, I also began to realize that the Murano is just the SUV version of the Altima.
It's the Taltima.
Yeah, it's the Ultima.
That's what it was called. It was the Taltima. Because everything they sell is just an Altima. So yes.
They have no other cars. Unbelievable. But the Murano does suffer the same fate as the Altima, though. I haven't seen one yet that doesn't have like a bashed in back bumper or the front fender is flapping. I mean, it's just,
Those are the best.
oh, it's
They're still
unreal.
going down the road. So there you go. They're not catching fire.
Come a nuclear holocaust, there will be cockroaches and Altimas left on the planet. Like, I truly believe
Well,
that.
there you go.
That's a testament to their build quality. They get put through some pretty rigorous testing.
In the event of the zombie apocalypse, you know what car to go find to make your getaway.
An Altima, you be good to go.
The ultimate.
The ultimate. You know, Brad, every month you mention, and it's even in our outro on every episode of Break Fix, it's like, if you have ideas for a show, contact us, dial this number on your rotary phone, hit us up on MySpace. We actually had somebody write to us this month.
What?
Yeah, we did.
Was it Mark Hewitt?
It was not Mark Hewitt, but you'll enjoy this. So I'm going to read this verbatim. I'm going to keep the innocent innocent. And it says, after looking at your series on Netflix, I was inspired to restore my 2012 Acura TSX. I was wondering if your team worked on imports. I currently live in New York City, and it's very hard to find the right shop to get the job done.
He doesn't realize who we are.
I appreciate all of our listeners and our readers, even if they don't listen, pay attention, or have the best comprehension.
Cool.
Did this actually happen?
For real, I'll forward it to you, dude. It's a legit email.
But also, though, which Netflix series are you talking about?
Break Fix. Eric didn't tell you we're on Netflix now.
Well, we are on IMDb up to episode 200. I went through the painstaking process.
What? I've got an IMDb?
Yeah,
No stuff.
yeah. But that was 175 episodes ago, so it's been a minute.
Well, you got to get out there and update that.
Do you know how long it takes to update IMDb? Dude,
I don't care. Do it.
it's a chore.
Do it.
It is a chore.
Do it. You know what's a chore? Creating a Wikipedia page. That's a chore.
Well, I guess it's time we go south and talk about alligators and bear.
There ain't nothing to talk about.
What?
I looked for Florida men, and there are none.
There are no Florida men.
I couldn't find anything. They are,
What?
I don't know where they all went.
They went to Car Week.
Yeah, or maybe it's
They hibernate in August.
it's like Europe. They go on vacation during
They take
August.
August off. Have we finalized our team yet for the Florida Man games? Tanya's captain.
What's your name? Gotta get a snazzy team name.
All right. Well, we might not have any Florida man this month. That is
I
unfortunate.
tried. I looked for other men in other states, and it's a dry August.
Hey, wait a second. You look for men in other states. What's going on here? Which way are you swiping?
If there are any men listening to this episode, Tanya is looking for you.
I looked in Texas. I looked in Michigan. I looked in our home state.
There's a gentleman that wants his Acura TSX restored. I mean, maybe that's your guy.
I didn't look in New York. I didn't look there.
Well, I found 3 of them in Europe.
Yeah, Eric, you're looking for men too?
No, 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 not that kind. But this is it, folks. It's sort of like the Rolling Stones, their final tour. Well, guess what? Top Gear / the Grand Tour, depending on when you subscribe to their nonsense. Hammond, Clarkson, and May are airing their final episode on September the 13th on Amazon Prime. They're calling it One for the Road. There's a preview of it on Instagram. All I can say is I don't know what the hell it's about, but it includes a Ford Capri, a Lancia Beta Scorpion, and what seems to be a Triumph Stag, and some sand, and I'm here for all of it.
I didn't even watch the last like 2 or 3 specials that they came out with.
The Scandi flick is the one to watch.
Spoilers.
The last one I watched was the one with the Evo where May went into the wall.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
the Scandi flick.
I never finished it though. I only got
Dude,
halfway
it gets
through.
so much better from that point. And that point makes you literally jump out of your seat, but it gets better from there. Like better in a bad way too. One more for the road for Clarkson, Hammond, and May, September the 13th. I'm looking forward to it. They have been together for, preview says 22 years, probably longer than that. They're all going in their own directions. You know, May's doing his Our Man in Japan and Our Man here and all that. And I think Hammond's back on the radio and Clarkson's got Clarkson's Farm. But it's good to have one last hurrah because that last Grand Tour didn't really give anybody closure. So I'm thinking hopefully this one will wrap it up. And I'm excited to see these 3 cars that they picked. I have a feeling Hammond's probably driving the Scorpion because nobody fits in those things. They're so small. So it would make sense that he chose that. And I think those are super cool. Meanwhile, it's time we go quickly behind the pit wall and talk about motorsports news. So are the drama llamas all rested up? We back? Are we ready to go racing again?
This weekend,
Where are they this time?
Dutch Grand Prix.
Zandvoort! We're going to Zandvoort! So that means Verstappen has to win or he will be excommunicated from his own country?
We'll see.
I read a whole bunch of different stuff about has Red Bull hit the ceiling, you know, again, going back to the whole Adrian Newey thing, that the car can't get any better, or everybody else has finally exceeded, you know, all this BS and stuff. And then there was something about Perez, his engineer is going on paternity leave, so there's a shakeup there and a bunch of other stuff that to me just seemed like drama llama as usual.
I'm so out of touch when it comes to F1 this year. I've watched maybe 20 minutes of a race the entire season.
Was it Monte Carlo? Because that's all you needed.
No, I think it was 20 minutes cumulatively between several different race weekends.
There's nothing to draw me in. You know what I mean? It's just
I don't have this resource called time. I don't have much of that anymore.
yeah, I hear you.
I mean, it's been more interesting because he hasn't been winning every race. There's been
Yeah.
different winner, I think the last 6 races at least.
I did see that Hamilton won. Didn't he win at Spa?
Yeah.
Well, McLaren's been stepping up their game. Like Lando has been more at the front recently, and so you're seeing a little bit more orange on the podium, stuff like that.
What'll be interesting in the next couple weeks or months or whatever, however long it takes them, there's still people that haven't secured their seats for the next year. So there's still some seat jostling that's going to happen.
And did I see Signs is going to Williams?
Yeah.
Yeah, there were some funny memes about that actually.
What in the world is going on?
I don't understand that. He had to have had offers
Yeah.
from like everybody. And you choose.
Well, next he'll go to Haas. You know how they show the progression of the caveman over time, like human beings? Sainz is going the other way in Formula One.
No, but I feel like Williams is like the bottom of the bottom.
Haas has got to be worse. Come on.
No, I don't think so.
Haas has maybe been doing better this year. So no, I don't think Haas is the bottom this year. So maybe, well, you know who I think is the bottom this year? Sauber. So
That's because they've checked out. They know Audi's taken over, and what do they care, right? So why blow the budget?
Kick Sauber, Jumpstart, Stake,
Oh,
A1,
God.
Visa Cash Cow. No, that's the other people.
Isn't that the one with Bottas?
Bottas and the Chinese driver.
Switching to another discipline of racing, I won't bore you guys to tears about Rally. Rally is exciting. They got new cars. The cars are cool, especially the Toyotas. They're black. They look super awesome. Lots of really exciting stuff going on there. Seb was just knighted. Well, the French equivalent of being knighted. That was back around the time of the Portuguese rally. So that was pretty cool. But he's still out there. I mean, 11-time champion or whatever he is and all this kind of stuff. So he's still out there battling out with the young guys. There's lots of mix-ups in WRC. I will say that Takamoto's doing better, although I still wait for a crash every time. So, you know, it's just whatever. But I will say I kind of took on a new dimension with rally. And what I've been doing is following the rally schedule. I'm getting a little bit caught up because I started late. And what I'm trying to do is run the rally when the rally is happening. And I'm going to do it on my sim. And then I'm streaming it on Twitch. I'm doing it kind of in a compressed way because the way the software does it. So I chose the Hyundai that's Esa-Pekka Lappi's car, and I've been doing that. I've been kind of following along with the series. So I'm caught up to Sardinia, and I need to kind of blast through the rest of them to get caught up to the schedule where it is now. But as a bonus, which is why it's taking me longer, is after I complete each of the rallies, I actually go back and do the full length. So that's all the stages connected. So some of these rallies, it's like 13 stages, 15 stages, whatever. So there's a way to do them all in one shot. It's usually like a 20-mile run. It takes literally like a half an hour of nonstop action. And I do it in a Group B car. So I actually chose the Peugeot 205 T16, kind of sampled all the cars. I actually prefer the Group A cars in the sim. I think they're a lot more fun. But the cool part is it's forcing me to do things differently, adapt, get better, whatever you want to call it. But I'm doing it full manual with the clutch, no assist, no traction control, stability, any of that kind of stuff. I do the WRC cars that way too, but they're a lot easier to drive. So all that stuff up on Twitch. So twitch.tv, Grand Touring Motorsports. I'm going to continue to do that, kind of following along with the WRC schedule. Like I said, it just adds a whole nother dimension to the racing, and it makes it more fun because then I get to watch what the drivers are doing and either try to replicate what they're doing or, oh, I remember that turn. I know how difficult that is, those kinds of things. So again, I think it's pretty cool. And if you enjoy it, it's available for you up on Twitch. In WEC IMSA SRO news, the Glen just happened for IMSA, one of our favorite events to go to. That's where Brad's bachelor party was many, many years ago at this point. And SRO was just there for their World Challenge event. And NASCAR will be back at the Glen in September. Don't forget the Petit Le Mans at Road Atlanta is coming up in October. So that's the end of the IMSA season. So looking forward to that. And in other WEC ACO type of news, we just completed our 9th Evening with a Legend, and that was with Andy Pilgrim. That's available right now on our Patreon, or if you become a member of the ACO USA in our private Facebook group. And then it'll be recast later this fall, winter time. So you can listen to it as part of the Motoring Podcast Network, as part of the Evening with the Legend series. And then we got a couple more slated. So we're trying to do one a month of these Evening with the Legend. So there's other ones coming. They're really, really cool. Some really interesting stories, specifically about Le Mans and Americans going to Le Mans and things like that. And then if you're an ally of Women in Motorsports North America, they're currently running a sweepstakes for 2 tickets to next year's Rolex 24 with, I would call it VIP plus status because of all the extras and the goodies that come with the package. They are giving you $2,500 towards expenses to like help you get there and all those kinds of things. It's a sweepstakes. So you're like buying chances to win, and the money benefits WIMNA. So Women in Motorsports North America. You can check it out on their website for all the details, how to enter, how it all works. womeninmotorsportsna.com for more details on that really, really cool sweepstakes package for the 2025 Rolex 24. So maybe we'll see you there. And then some virtual stuff. Le Mans Ultimate got an update months past, kind of leading up to the 24 Hours of Le Mans. We were doing a bunch of shakedowns and time trials and all this kind of stuff in preparation for the launch event that we did in Detroit for Le Mans Ultimate with the ACO. And the latest update includes things like the Lamborghini Hybrid Hypercar, a bunch of other changes. They're actually adding more of the courses that are in the WEC schedule. So look forward to things like CODA coming to the sim. More updates are coming more frequently now as the game's officially launched, gaining more traction, those kinds of things. I still enjoy playing it. I've just been more focused on my WRC stuff for now, but I'm going to jump back into Le Mans here later in the year. And then allegedly Assetto Corsa 2 is coming, but then again, they've been saying that for like 5 years. So I don't put a lot of weight into that right now, but as soon as that does come out, I'm pretty excited to add that to my library of sim racing. And if you're interested in talking about sim racing with other sim racers and people in the industry, don't forget to check out our Discord. DM us, hit us up on Facebook, email us, whatever. We'll send you the link. It's on our website, and you can jump in on there and share your virtual racing experience with us. I do want to remind everybody that our motorsports news is brought to us in partnership with the International Motor Racing Research Center. A couple events coming up on the schedule. September 12th is the Cameron R. Argetsinger Award for Outstanding Contributions in Motorsport. This year's honoree is Zach Brown. That's the CEO of McLaren Formula One. You can still buy tickets to attend the event, so jump over to racingarchives.org and click on store to purchase your seat at the table. And by the way, the IMRC added an auction to this event. There are new items being added every week leading up to the awards dinner, so check the website for those details as well. On September the 25th, we have another Evening with a Legend. That'll be episode number 10, sponsored by the IMRC. It'll be all about the Camarati Corvette, which its importance and significance in the history of Le Mans is that it placed 10th overall with a ragtag team from the United States, and it was one of only 4 Corvettes to finish Le Mans in 1960. So really, really interesting backstory there. Look forward to an episode on Break Fix about the history of the Camarati Corvette as well. But check out motoringpodcast.net and then click on shows and then Evening with a Legend to learn how you can sign up for that live recording of that episode. We're going to have Richard Prince on there, Dominic Testa, Charles Schrodel, a couple other guys that are associated with that car, talking about the history of it, its importance, some Q&A with the audience. So really, really interesting session there. And be sure to catch all the behind the scenes for Evening with a Legend on our Patreon. If you haven't heard already, the Michael R. Argetsinger Symposium on Motor Racing History will be November 1st through the 2nd at Watkins Glen. By the way, the IMRC has started up their Corvette sweepstakes. It's back. It's running through next year, and you can enter for your chance to win a 2024 Corvette Z06 with a Z07 package, all of 1,000 horsepower, right? Details are on racingarchives.org. And if you don't want the Corvette, that's fine. There's always a cash option. Proceeds go to benefit the continued operation of the center, which is a 501c3 non-for-profit organization.
As a reminder, you can find tons of upcoming local shows and events at the ultimate reference for car enthusiasts, collectorcarguide.net.
That's right, Brad. And if you're looking to find motorsports events, check our calendar at club.gtmotorsports.org/events. And if you're looking for big name national motorsports events, you can find them on gtmotorsports.org. And if you need an up-to-date list of HPD events from now until basically next year, because HPD events are running all over the country, look no further than hpdejunkie.com for an up-to-date list of events all across North America.
We just crested 375 episodes of Break Fix while you've been listening to this episode. But more importantly, we've expanded our catalog as part of the Motoring Podcast Network, where you can enjoy programs like The Ferrari Marketplace, The Motoring Historian, Evening with a Legend, The History of Motorsports, Break Fix, and others. Search for Break/Fix or Gran No D Touring everywhere you download, stream, or listen. And be sure to check out www.motoringpodcast.net for reviews of the shows, new episodes, bios of our on-air personalities, and descriptions of the services we offer.
Did you know you can sign up for our Patreon for free? Lots of great extras and bonuses, even on the free tier. But if you'd like to become a Break Fix VIP, jump over to www.patreon.com/GTMotorsports and learn about our different tiers. Join our Discord or become a member of the GTM Clubhouse by signing up at club.gtmotorsports.org. Drop us a line on social media or visit our Facebook group and leave us a comment. Tell us what you like and send us ideas for future episodes of our Netflix series, Break Fix.
And remember, for everything we talked about on this episode and more, be sure to check out the follow-on article and show notes available at gtmotorsports.org.
And a thank you to our co-host and executive producer, Tanya, for putting this wonderful show together month after month.
Not this time.
And to all the fans, friends, and family who support GTM and the Motoring Podcast Network. Without you, none of this would be possible.
That's right. Praise goes to you guys. Complaints come to me. That's how it works. If you don't like this episode, it's not their fault. That we were going to be done. We're so close.
So close. There's still like 45 minutes left.
No, there's not.
I didn't catch the joke. What happened?
But you know how it always takes forever to put these episodes together?
Yeah.
Buckle up.
Me.
It's turning into El Hee again.
Have you all seen the meme for Shua Peepees?
What?
So this kid, he's like a Gen Z or something. He's trying to present the news, and he's talking about a news article, and it's about like a recall from Schweppes, like
Oh,
no
no.
Ginger ale?
sugar like diet. And because he's never said Schweppes before,
Sweaty
he
balls.
calls it the Shua Peepees ginger ale. That has become my new safe word, Shua Peepees. It was Hufflepuff, but now it's Shua Peepees.
Poor guy.
I feel for the people, but maybe they really enjoy the behind the scenes, the outtakes. Like, I am amazed by the folks that watch this on Patreon. I commend you. I salute you.
Can you see who those people are?
I cannot.
I should care more about my appearance.
I think I should care more about how my office looks behind me. If it wasn't for the drive-through, I wouldn't be a podcaster at all. So you have all that stuff because, first of all, a lot of it is from your past guests.
You know, otherwise my office would be super boring and ugly. I mean, come on now.
We'll have to cut that part out.
And we're out.
Outro.
Well, here we are in the drive-through line, me and her. Cars in front of us, cars in back of us, all just waiting to order. There's some idiot in a Volvo with his bright sun behind me. I lean out the window and scream, hey, what you trying to do, blind me? My wife says maybe we should
We hope you enjoyed another awesome episode of Break Fix Podcast, brought to you by Grand Touring Motorsports. If you'd like to be a guest on the show or get involved, be sure to follow us on all social media platforms at Grand Touring Motorsports. And if you'd like to learn more about the content of this episode, be sure to check out the follow-on article at gtmotorsports.org. We remain a commercial-free and no annual fees organization through our sponsors, but also through the generous support of our fans, families, and friends through Patreon. For as little as $2.50 a month, you can get access to more behind-the-scenes action, additional pit stop minisodes, and other VIP goodies, as well as keeping our team of creators fed on their strict diet of Fig Newtons, Gummy Bears, and Monster. So consider signing up for Patreon today at www.patreon.com/GT Motorsports. And remember, without you, none of this would be possible.